Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the program. Sport Pizza, of course, is the biggest, the boldest, and where you get the absolute best in the ever exciting world of sports. My name is Brownson, Unwana, your host. Lots of things happening. African Cup of Nations is absolutely buzzing. And for all those who really didn't have strong belief in Super Eagles of Nigeria, I guess that belief is beginning to change. The Eagles are really flying high in Cameroon. And of course, some disappointment, some big teams like the holders of the tournament, Algeria, are still trying to find their feet in this tournament. Now, the Australian Open, one of the biggest Grand Slam, of course, the first Grand Slam of the year, have kick-started, but it's without Novak Djokovic, the world #1 ranked tennis player. It was deported last Sunday, and there are lots of things to look out for and to talk about as far as the Australian Open is concerned. It's a big show, it's a big month, it's a big year of sport. But first, let's take a very quick break. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. Welcome back. My strike partner, Olakunle joins me at this time. Kunle, good time in the program.
Yeah, top of the day to you, Brownson. It's great to be back once again to talk sport, and you can see the smile switching all over my face because I'm still basking in the euphoria of the superlative, fantastic performance of the Super Eagles at the ongoing African Cup of Nations. No one saw it coming at all, but the guys are coming to the party and they're giving it their shot. And when you look at the way other African teams, some of the teams are not really coming to the party yet. We talked about the Desert Foxes of Algeria, who still are still struggling to find their feet, yet to get a goal in this tournament, and of course, against all expectations, lost to Equatorial Guinea.
And of course, it's good to know that the Eagles are finally flying in this tournament. Now, let's look at the Afcon. There have been lots of talks, lots of challenges, lots of things as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. And it's good to know that the Eagles are flying. But before we look at some other things, let's talk about Super Eagles a bit. Now, few weeks to the African Cup of Nations, the Super Eagles sacked their former manager, talking about Coach General. And when the Guavon was brought in, at some point, I also criticized the Nigerian Football Federation for making that decision at a very short time. But we've seen what Guavon has done, turned the team around. The team seems to be playing with this finesse and joy inside of them. What do you think is that factor that have made these guys to really come out of their shell?
Yeah, I think from the beginning, the NFF, looking at what Genoto has done over the years, and in recent time we're beginning to lose games, and then we're churning out some unimpressive results, and that was exactly what yielded. The NFF understood the fact that if eventually they Genoto leads the Super Eagles to the African Cup of Nations, it might spell disaster for Nigeria. So that was why it was a huge risk that they took. They took that risk of bringing in Augustine Eguavoen. The factor that you talked about is the fact that Eguavoen Augustine has been the manager of the Super Eagles a couple of times. I remember over the years, I think it was in 2006, where he led the Super Eagles to a third place berth. So I think he's vastly experienced, and even in that tournament, you will discover that they played some good games. They registered 9 points in the opening in the group stage of the competition where the Super Eagles belong. They churned out 9. They defeated Senegal and one other 2 teams to secure the 3 management points. So, and then given the fact that they had just a short time to prepare and of course get the team prepared for this tournament, he had to look at every other factor. One thing that he's talked about that really caught my fancy also is the fact that he told the players, look, see me as your brothers, see me as your father, because Eguavoen has been there for many decades as a coach of the player for the Super Eagles. I remember the manner in which he was the one that captained the Super Eagles when we won the African Cup of Nations in 1994, when Stevie Keshi age was catching up on him, and he had to take that position. Yes, the players respected him because he's someone they've been hearing about over the years, and it was good working with him at this time. So he did everything to bring out the very best in the players. Remember what Moses Simon said. He said, this is a coach that the new manager has given him the opportunity to express himself and also play him in a position that he loves to play, and that's the position where he plays for his club in the French league. So I think that all these factors are very vital, and Coach Augustin Eguavoen is doing everything humanly possible to get the best out of the players, and the players are also getting the needed result. I think that one factor that really works most times when teams are going for competition, when the team gels, the competition factor, the gelling can also play a very prominent role. The guys gelled at the start of this tournament. I think for me it's very good. When you look at the last tournament in 2019, we saw that some countries were gelling, but the finesse of Algeria gelled much more than other teams, and they went all the way. When competition happens, when a competition starts like that, some teams will just come to the party, and of course,
can we also say that the Super Eagles of Nigeria right now, if you look at some platform, people have been saying Nigeria are the favourites to win this one. Eguavoen has come out to say that this is still early days, but in my opinion, there are some other teams that have also done very well in this competition. For instance, look at the host nation, Cameroon. Yeah. For me, after Samuel Eto'o left the national team, Cameroon have really struggled. But in this tournament, we've seen that Cameroon, the first game they scored 1 goal, other game they scored 3 goals, and it showed that their team
four in the
second game. So
they scored 2 in the first, and they scored 4
in the second game. Yeah. So we've seen that Cameroon as well can score goals.
Yeah, they can score goals. I think they've got a deadly attack that one we should really be wary of. Ekambi is there. He backed the brace in the last game, and also the man of the moment, Vincent Abubakar, the leading scorer so far in the African Cup of Nations, leading with 4 goals. The Cameroonians are a very top team any day, anytime. Just like we said, I think they had to go back to drawing board, because it looks like it's almost a decade. No, not up to a decade. I think in the last 3-4 years or thereabout, they've not been there, and that was why they sacked their coaches. Remember that it was I think it was Clarence Seedorf and Edgar Davids that brought them down to the 2019 African Cup of Nations after they couldn't go beyond the quarterfinal because they got the beating by the Super Eagles in the quarterfinal. They got sacked, and the new coach has been doing everything possible to turn things around for the club and for the country, I beg your pardon, and they are getting the desired result. But Brownson, one factor, I think one thing that I'm looking at, department that I'm looking at, that the Cameroonians seem to be lacking is the defense. The defense seems a bit jittery. The defense seems shaky, and then you can't really judge them right now again, because I think they've not been able to play against very strong opponents. As the tournament progresses, you get to see the best. But no doubt, they are one of the favourites. Not forgetting the Atlas Lions of Morocco as well. The Moroccans are also favourites, winning 2 in 2 games, defeated Comoros, and also defeated the Black Stars of Ghana. Black Stars of Ghana, I topped it.
But so even I can beat Comoros.
Brownson, no. The Comoros, when you watch them, the Atlas Lions had to, they had to dig it deep. Yes, it was a bit easy for them compared to the game against the Black Stars of Ghana, but they struggled. The Comoros team gave them a good fight. That's one interesting thing about the ongoing African Cup of Nations. The smaller teams have been coming to party. You saw the way Burkina Faso, the Sierra Leoneans, when we said the Sierra Leoneans are hard not to crack, some people said, how can they come to Nigeria and play out a 4-4 draw when Nigeria was leading by 4 goals to nothing?
We saw what they did to
Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. They gave it a fight. They fought from beginning to the very end. And at the end of the day, they got a share of the spoil, and they made the group open for every of the team to qualify.
Very big one must be said, and very, very fantastic game of football we've seen the African Cup of Nations. But still, with the African Cup of Nations, must be said that strikers in this tournament are still goal shy. Most of them are still yet to register goals, and in group stages, we've seen that goals have really not been flying in as we would have expected. Most teams in the group stage have managed to score just 1 goal, and most games ended goalless. Tell lots of questions about the players, talking about our striker. Now, what's happening with the strikers, African strikers? Seems to be struggling in Afcon.
Yeah, they seem to be struggling, and I think it has to do with competition. I've been watching African Cup of Nations since Morocco in 1988. I've seen the way the teams play. I've seen the way some of these small teams come to the tournament, and of course they get beaten by some of these big teams. But this particular one, the 2021-2022 African Cup of Nations, have been absolutely different. The smaller teams are giving the bigger teams a good run for their money, and it's really becoming. How do you explain the defending champion of the tournament losing to Equatorial Guinea, a team ranked 133 to 135 in the world, compared to a team ranked in the top 25, top 30 in the world, and also number 2nd in Africa? So it goes to tell you that the smaller teams are not taking it easy with the bigger teams. So I think one of the factors that have contributed to the number of goals, the limitation, the number of goals that has been scored so far. But you can see the Moroccan team defeated Mauritania by 4-0. That was a whitewash. The Cameroon also scored 4 goals. Nigeria getting 3 goals as well in their last game against Sudan. So I think the goals are beginning to come in. At the start, it was looking like, are we going to continue?
One new goalless.
It's really not. The beauty of the game is when you see when the countries, the teams score a lot of goals, it makes it more exciting. But when the goals are minimal, it brings, it makes it a bit boring. But we can begin to see that, from the second round of games, the goals are beginning to pop in.
All right, now talking about goals, excitement in the African Cup of Nations, we also can't leave out some controversy in this tournament, from the VAR to referee. Now, the game between Tunisia and Mali, sometime last week, we saw a drama where a referee ended the game, the first part of the game, at 85th minutes. Now, when we say ended the game, it blew that the game had come to an end at 50 minutes. Now, the match commissioner didn't feel cool. There were lots of protests from Tunisian bench, and that game was restarted from 85th minutes. 89 minutes 45 seconds, the game again was brought to an end. Even though after lots of investigation during the press conference, CAF called for that game to continue, but the Tunisian team refused to come to the pitch. Kunle, we also saw some VAR issues where, some things where people at home will say this is an onside, VAR will say this is offside. The one that's offside VAR will say. So there have been lots of inconsistency in the refereeing and the VAR of Afcon.
Well, Brownson, just like you said, the game involving Mali and Tunisia, the referee in charge, we don't know what happened to that referee. And he's someone I've known for a very long time. He has been there. He has been in the African terrain for a very long time. So, but why he had to end the game in the 85th minute, he came back again, also ended the game in the 89th minute, is what we don't really understand. But it's a very disappointing one, because it's something I've never seen before. Some people will say, hey, this kind of thing,
African football at it again.
Yeah. So for me, it robbed. It put the picture of African football in bad image, a very disappointing one. And the Confederation of African Football have actually told the referee to go home. Some people said it was not his, the heat on that day was much on him, and it affected his sanity mentally. I don't know about that, but the truth of the matter is that the referee has been told to go back home. And then for the VAR decisions, Brownson, there's been a lot of controversies, I must say. The goal scored by Mohamed Salah in their last game, some people are of the opinion that that's against Guinea-Bissau, the opinion that it was a bit offside, but the VAR gave it. And the other goal scored by Guinea-Bissau as well, some people feel that it should have been a clear goal, because the young man, I think it was tussling with one of the Egyptian player defender, and he got past him. He moved in a little bit, and he took a screamer. He took a shot, a very fierce one, and the ball got into the net. Only for the VAR to check, and he said it wasn't a goal. It caused a lot of chaos, and some fans pundit all over saying that should have been a goal. For me, Brownson, I think the VAR was absolutely spot on, because there was an infringement prior to the goal. So I think that is spot on. And some other controversies here and there. The one that involves Nigeria, the one that had Olakunle, giving away that penalty, was justified as well. Some others are not justified, but for me, the justification, the ones that have been right, have been much more than the ones that are not ranked.
But I'll tell you stuff, if Nigeria were losing that, trailing that game, or needed to win that game by all costs,
there was an infringement.
I'm sure a lot of people
Olakunle actually touched the player.
And even
no,
he stepped on his toe. He stepped on his toe. So that was perfectly spot on. But what we are telling CAF and the referees that there should be more consistency in refereeing this game, so that we can enjoy fairness in all round. Now, before we leave the Afcon, Kunle, we've seen several games so far. Which of the big teams would you say have been the most disappointing team?
It has to be the defending champion, the Fairness of Algeria, with the Iris of Stars coming on the heel of the FIFA Arab Cup that they just won. They celebrated massively. They've gone 35 games, about 35 games unbeaten for over how many years? For over 3 years or thereabout. They've dominated African football. Coming to this tournament with Mahrez, Feghouli, and all these arrays of stars at their disposal, they've not been able to get a single goal. Yes, they've been trying Brownson. If you ask me, they've been making incursions. They've been trying to get goals. The goals are not just coming, which is really very difficult for them to understand. And when you watch their game against Equatorial Guinea, they gave it a good shot. They dominated proceedings. Mahrez was at his best. Making those mesmerizing moves. And when they get to the third half, the goals just refused to come. And then when the Equatorial Guineans had their chance, they buried it, and that was the end of the game. So I think that it has to be the Algerians. They've been absolutely disappointing because they are the #1 favorite to win this tournament, and yet they are yet to come to the party. Not forgetting the Ghanaians as well. The Ghanaians, yes, you can't be pardoned if you lose to the Moroccans, but playing a draw against Gabon, losing that game, having to share the spoils in the 9 minutes of that game was disappointing for them.
Very disappointing for some of these big teams, according to Olakunle Philip. Now, let's take a very quick break. When we come back, more stories to come. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now let's take you straight from Cameroon back home to Nigeria, where the Nigerian Professional Football League is absolutely buzzing. 6 games so far, lots of goals scored. We've also experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Also, don't forget that away win is as good as winning the league in Nigeria. We've also recorded some couple of away wins. And of course, we are seeing some unlikely team at this early season on top of the table. Of course, Remo Stars sits comfortably with on top of the table. We haven't played 6 games. They've had 4 wins, 2 draws, and unbeaten, yet to lose a game this season. And in second place, we have Rivers United, haven't played 6 games. They've got 3 wins and 3 draws, yet to lose a game. What a form these teams are this season. Enugu Rangers sit third on the table, 6 games, 3 wins, 2 draw, and of course, they've lost 1 game. And in the 4th place, we have Akwa United, 6 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, and of course, they've lost 2 games. Now, let's go straight and see the teams that are in the relegation waters. Now, let's start from the 17th team, where Shooting Stars have played 6 games. They've managed just 1 win, 3 draws, and of course, they've lost 2 of the games. Katsina United on 18 points, 6 games, 2 wins, 0 draw, and of course, they've lost 4 of their games. MFM is shocking to see MFM in the relegation water on 19th position. They've got 6 games, 2 wins, 0 draw, and of course they've lost 4 games. And of course, Niger Tornadoes, you must feel very pity for their neck, carrying the whole 19 teams on their shoulder. 6 games, 1 win, 2 draw, and of course they've lost 3 games. Kunle, very exciting so far.
Yeah, very exciting one, if you ask me. The unexpected team seems to be topping the league as we speak. Remo Stars has started in a devastating manner, winning 4 out of the 6 games, and then last week they had to defeat Wiki Tourist away from home to also cut away with the 3 maximum points. Fantastic for them, but whether they will be able to sustain the momentum, time will surely tell. For Rivers United, yes, they've been there over the years, and they've got the experience and all of that. Also, starting very well, like you said, in second position. Of course, Enugu Rangers also in that first position. But I want to talk about those in relegation waters. Shooting Stars of Ibadan. All the fans, the pundits, want Shooting Stars to return back, to return to the NPFL, which they did with the performance last season in the lower cadre. But they've not started well. Last week they played out a 2-2 draw with Sunshine Stars of Akure. They got the first goal via penalty, and of course Sunshine Stars came back, got the second, and then got the equalized and got the second. Shooting Stars later came back to get a goal, and of course get to share the spoils. So it has not been the best of performance for them, and then the management are already complaining that if things continue like this, because they are in the relegation waters, it's just like they are back in the league and they're going back. They really have to work extremely hard to ensure that they retain that particular spot, and of course retain their NPFL status. So time will tell. For the team that are topping right now, Remo Stars, I'll be very happy, Brownson, if eventually Remo Stars get to win the league. I'm actually from that side.
No, so, you say they're a village club.
So no, they're very close to us. Ijebu, the Remo, very close. So I want them to win. I want them to sustain at the momentum. But I think if some of these big teams, Eiba, who seems to be fifth on the table, begins to gel. Teams like Enugu Rangers, I think Remo Stars will really have a lot to do.
Remo Stars is still early days, just 6 games gone. Of course, they are still unbeaten in the league. Let's see how well and how far they can go. Now let's switch gear to Europe, where, of course, not a good news as Rafael Benitez has been sacked by Everton. And of course, it was said that it was risk. A lot of people also kicked against that appointment to replace Carlo Ancelotti. But, I mean, Benitez came in, really didn't live up to expectations.
Yeah, it has been a very disappointing campaign for Rafa Benitez at Everton. He has not really lived up to billing. And, he came out to say that, he didn't envisage this kind of problems that he got to witness because he feels that he will be able to turn things around after Ancelotti left the club. So I think that when you lose it, you have just 1 win in 13 games. What kind of result is that? And you've lost over about 8 games in 13. Come on, it's a very bad one, and the team lies 16. Norwich City, that all the teams are getting to beat, you lost against them again. So I think that the management seems to be tired, and some other players and some other managers are being touted to take over from Rafa Benitez. Some people are saying Rooney from Derby County might likely be taking that position. Not forgetting
Rooney is also on relegation waters. I think that they're looking for fastest way down. But Kuleta will not allow us to really look at some of the intricacies of who would be the next manager. But let's also talk about a big thing that's happening in tennis. Australian Open has officially started, and it's without the world #1 ranked tennis player, talking about Novak Djokovic. He was deported out of Australia last Sunday, and of course that's very sad. Now, Kule, the down part of this is that this is the first Grand Slam of the year, and Djokovic is still insisted he doesn't want to be vaccinated. Maybe not now, and in 2-3 months' time, we'll be preparing for the second Grand Slam, Roland Garros. Now, it's looking like same fate might happen to him in France.
Yeah, definitely. If he still wants to compete, then he still has to get vaccinated. We talked about this last week, Brownson, because if it has to do with the tennis federation, yes, you can have your way. But against a whole country, come on, they have their rules, and they stated it clear that you must be vaccinated. You are putting the life of the citizens in jeopardy if you are not vaccinated, because it has been stipulated that all must be vaccinated in Australia, and Djokovic fighting it out. I'm disappointed. So I think for Djokovic, he has no reason not to be vaccinated. So the deportation is well justified. And of course, if he still doesn't get vaccinated, just like you said, he will not be participating. He might rather not be participating in the French Open.
That's it. Every country have their rules, and Djokovic must obey these rules if he must continue to play as a pro. Olakunle Philip, thank you for being a part of the program today.
Always my pleasure to be here, bro.
All right, with that, the wrap on our show today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Now, don't forget to go to all our social media platforms. Twitter is back, of course, so you can go to Twitter and, of course, follow us on Twitter, like our tweet, go to YouTube, and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are also on Facebook. All these platforms, we would be communicating, interacting with you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. My name is Brownson Unwana. On behalf of all our production crew, thank you so much for watching and see you again next time.